Hello, I'm Robin. Welcome to Bookspin. Second Foundation by Isaac Asimov, published in 1953. This is the third book in the Foundation Trilogy, which is, of course, one of the great classics of science fiction. There's no shortage of intriguing ideas in here. Ambitious world building, intense drama on a galactic scale, it's all here. It's no wonder these books have been captivating SF readers for generations. Now, it's taken me a little while to finally finish reading these books, but we're here at last. Now, my experience with the first two books was positive overall, but I wouldn't say that they blew me away exactly. I think that's why it's taken me so long to finally finish reading the series. And the thing is, I think it's down to the writing style. It's a little bit dry. It's a little bit dialogue heavy, which is not always a bad thing. But I think you have to go into these books with the right expectations. Okay, so if you're looking for an exciting thriller or an action-packed space opera, you won't find them in these books. However, they are full of interesting concepts, and there are some great plot twists along the way. So there is quite a lot to appreciate in these books, especially once the character of the mule appears, who is the primary antagonist in this series. I think that's when these books become particularly interesting. So I'm going to recap a little bit on what is the central premise of the Foundation Trilogy. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but basically, central to the whole premise of these books is this institution known as the Foundation. And following the collapse of the Galactic Empire, the Foundation is set up as an organization of scientists and engineers whose mission it is to preserve knowledge and guide humanity towards rebuilding civilization through the application of psychohistory. Right? And in doing so, it is believed that a new galactic empire can arise within 1,000 years, which seems like a very long time, but in the grand scheme of things, it's actually quite small. Okay, so these books cover numerous episodes that take place across different eras in this intermediary period, and it chronicles various crisis points throughout the Foundation's history. These crises threaten the existence of the Foundation, and thus its whole mission to restore human civilization. Now, these episodes basically function like individual stories because each story has its own cast of characters and its own plot and things going on. And in fact, these stories were originally published as novelettes and novellas in SF magazines in the 40s and early 50s. So Second Foundation, which is this book, follows suit with this. This book consists of two novellas that were originally published in Astounding magazine between 1948 and 1950. And the focus within this book is the Second Foundation, which is a kind of secretive counterpart to the Foundation, or the First Foundation, which I've been talking about. It shares the same purpose of safeguarding humanity's future, but it does it in a much more behind-the-scenes way. So while the First Foundation was created to preserve science and technology, The focus of the second Foundation is more on the mental sciences, which in this world means things like telepathy and mind control. So it's a very mysterious institution. No one really knows where it's based, who are its members, or how it really works. So it's taken on this almost kind of legendary status, and uncovering its secrets is central to the narrative in this third book. Now, I've mentioned the mule already. The mule is a really interesting character. I think he's by far the most interesting character in this series. He is this kind of power-craving psychic mutant who is capable of influencing people's minds, right? And he is the biggest threat the Foundation has ever encountered. He's introduced in book 2, and basically the Foundation can't resist him. But in the focus of this book, right, the Second Foundation, is the hidden influence of the Second Foundation which most threatens his ambitions. So we have the first novella in the story, which is called Search by the Mule. And it focuses on his relentless pursuit to try and find the Second Foundation's whereabouts alongside 2 of his officers. And I really like this story. One of his officers has had his mind taken over by the mule, while the other hasn't, who is still loyal to him, but he maintains his own free will, which creates a very interesting character dynamic between these 2 officers and the mule himself. I'm not going to go into any specifics here, but the mystery in this first part of the story I thought was very compelling. The interplay between these characters is fascinating, and there's quite an intense psychodrama that unfolds as numerous twists and turns reveal themselves. Again, the emphasis is on dialogue rather than action, but it's very skillfully done. So I really enjoyed that first part of the story. Now, this is followed by another novella, which is called Search by the Foundation, which is a totally different set of characters, and it's a different time period, which kind of disappointed me, to be honest, because, like I said, I really enjoyed the mule's character, and I thought that he was going to continue to play an important role in this story, but he's already gone by the time the story happens. But it does at least continue the same underlying theme of uncovering the mystery of the Second Foundation. There's more psychological intrigue, more scientists discussing stuff, more emotional twists and turns. Now, it's not a bad story, but I didn't really care a lot for the characters. I enjoyed the first story a lot more. However, the second story does do a good job of resolving the central thread of the novel, and bringing the trilogy to a satisfying close. So, with that in mind, I did enjoy the Second Foundation overall. I'm glad I read it, and I've finally finished the series. But like the trilogy as a whole, really, it was a bit of a disjointed experience. So I really enjoyed the first novella, just as I really enjoyed the second novella in Foundation and Empire, which was, again, about the mule, the rise of the mule. So obviously for me, this series is at its strong point when the mule is involved. But that part of the story in this particular book only makes up about the first third of the book. The second story was decent enough, but a little bit dry at times, and took me much longer to get through. So I'm going to give Second Foundation 3.5 stars. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more sci-fi content.